to say that I feel sorry. Only people are getting.
I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I was in a dark place for a few years, you know what I'm saying? And I have to give a special shout out, thank you, all that love. Cassie for holding me down in the dark times. Love.
Diddy's situation just took a darker turn. Word is, he allegedly tried to pressure Selena Gomez into attending one of his parties. It's not the first time he's shown interest apparently. He's been watching her for a while. But here's where it gets more disturbing. Cassie reportedly warned Selena about him, and she ended up suffering because of it. This story isn't just shocking, it's upsetting on many levels. What really happened behind the scenes is slowly starting to come out, and it paints a troubling picture of the people involved.
Graphic testimony detailing allegations of abuse, violence, and threats by Sean Diddy Combs. We're talking about what the celebrity stylist, who was by Cassie's side for more than a decade, had to say on the stand. The brutal beatings. Deontay Nash says he saw Combs lay on Cassie Ventura, how Cassie almost jumped off a balcony to escape Diddy at a hotel, and what Deontay Nash said happened when he tried to stop Combs in the middle of one of his alleged assaults.
More shocking stories about Diddy have been coming out ever since his arrest, but no one expected Selena Gomez to be involved. What's even more upsetting is how this allegedly led to Cassie suffering for years. Everything traces back to 2016, when Selena gave an interview to GQ and shared a strange and uncomfortable story about Diddy at the time. She was at the height of her career, famous in both music and television, and still in an on-again, off-again relationship with Justin Bieber. In that interview, Selena said Diddy mistook her for a valet. Yes, seriously, she explained. Diddy gave me his valet ticket once. Do you know what I mean? The interviewer was shocked and asked if she was serious. Selena said she found it funny and even laughed at the time. But some believe it wasn't just an innocent mistake. Let's look at the context. By 2016, Selena had starred in Wizards of Waverly Place, had several successful albums, and appeared in movies like Spring Breakers. She was a household name. So how could Diddy, who's been a major figure in the industry for decades, not know who she was? While some fans believed it was just a mix-up, others weren't convinced. There are whispers that this was the beginning of Diddy trying to get close to Selena. Rumors began to swirl that after this so-called valet incident, Diddy kept pushing to meet up with her and allegedly tried to get her invited to his parties. But sources say Cassie stepped in to warn Selena. And from there, things allegedly got even worse for Cassie. According to insiders, Diddy didn't take that lightly, and Cassie ended up paying the price. Cassie has since testified in court, revealing the horrifying details of what she says she endured during her long relationship with Diddy. Her second day of testimony was especially heartbreaking. She painted a clear picture of being trapped in a life of fear, manipulation, and abuse.
Is there anything that you may want to confess tonight before you go in?
I keep everything right here. Or right here.
Yeah. You angelic all the time.
She described how the violence started back in 2007, just 1 year after they got together, and said it never stopped. It wasn't just the occasional argument or outburst, it was a cycle of control, threats, and regular physical attacks. The prosecution came prepared. They didn't rely on just her words. They presented photos of injuries, including bruises, cuts, and wounds. One of the most disturbing was a deep gash above her eye, which she claims left her with a scar that never fully healed. Cassie even recalled a moment when one of Diddy's own security guards broke down in tears after seeing her face covered in blood after a violent incident in Las Vegas. But it doesn't stop there. Cassie said that after the abuse, Diddy would hide her away in hotel rooms so no one could see her injuries. On at least one occasion, she claimed she was kept under surveillance in a hotel room for days, with his staff monitoring her the entire time. She wanted to escape but didn't feel safe trying. In court, she said, "I understood Sean's capabilities, his access to guns, the threats he made." She said this was the reason she stayed silent and didn't run. One of the most talked about parts of her testimony was about the 2016 hotel incident, which had already made headlines when the surveillance footage was released by CNN. The video clearly shows Diddy attacking her, hitting, kicking, and dragging her. It's horrifying to watch. Even before the trial began, this video had already sparked outrage online and was heavily discussed during jury selection. But hearing Cassie describe the moment in her own words made it all hit harder. It's no longer just footage. It's a real person describing what she lived through. This case isn't just about a toxic relationship. It's about someone using their power and fame to hurt and control someone for years. Cassie's bravery in speaking out shows just how much strength it takes to face your abuser, especially when that abuser is one of the most well-known names in the business. Her words are putting a spotlight on the kind of abuse that can happen behind closed doors. Even when the public only sees red carpets and parties, things got even worse when Cassie shared details about what happened right before one of the biggest nights of her life, her first big movie premiere. Behind the glamorous photos and smiles, Cassie says she was hiding serious injuries. She had a black eye, swollen lips, and bruises all over her body. According to her, Diddy caused all of it just days earlier. The prosecution also showed text messages that added more context. In one of the messages, Diddy asked Cassie what she was doing that night. She replied using the term faux, which, she says, stood for freak-off, a word she used for Diddy's private drug-fueled adult parties. These weren't just regular get-togethers. Cassie claimed they were full of disturbing behavior, something Diddy referred to as twisted productions. But Cassie testified that she didn't want to be part of that scene anymore. She only agreed to it in the hopes of avoiding something worse. In her own words, she said, "If I pleased him with a freak-off, then my premiere would run smoothly." That statement alone shows the level of fear and control she says she lived with, trying to predict and manage Diddy's behavior just to avoid being hurt again. All of this paints a much bigger picture than what the public ever saw. Cassie wasn't just a girlfriend, she was someone stuck in a nightmare, constantly having to make choices just to stay safe. The connection to Selena Gomez may seem strange at first, but once you look at the timeline and rumors, the pieces start to fit. Cassie tried to warn Selena. That warning might have made her a target, and what followed was years of suffering. The alleged incident took place at the Intercontinental Hotel, and what unfolded afterward was nothing short of terrifying. Cassie claimed that Diddy became physically aggressive, hitting her hard enough to give her a black eye. Scared and in shock, she tried to grab her belongings and leave the hotel. This is the same violent episode that was caught on surveillance footage and later released by CNN. In court, the video was shown from several angles. It showed Cassie in the elevator area, clearly distressed, trying to put on her shoes. Suddenly, Diddy appeared just wearing a towel, struck her, and forcefully dragged her back toward their hotel room. Cassie testified that during the chaos, she managed to contact hotel security. Meanwhile, Diddy allegedly took her bags back to their room, where, according to Cassie, another escort was already present. She told the court that Diddy was yelling, telling her she wasn't allowed to leave. A former hotel security guard, Israel Flores, confirmed in court that he responded to the situation that night. In another angle of the hallway footage, Cassie could be seen coming out of the room with her bags and eventually escaping by ordering an Uber. But the trauma had already been done both physically and mentally shortly after the incident. Cassie was forced to attend a movie premiere. She told the court that she had to cover up the bruises on her legs, shoulders, and face with thick makeup. The prosecution displayed red carpet and after-party photos where she pointed out areas where the bruises were still visible. Even under the makeup, think about the mental strength it takes to smile for flashing cameras while your body is still recovering from a violent attack just hours before. Her testimony pulled back the curtain on the glamorous Hollywood lifestyle, revealing the pain that often hides behind the photos. But this wasn't an isolated event. Cassie told the court that she had spent years living in fear. She described the pattern of abuse, manipulation, and isolation she suffered while with Diddy. She said that during their time together, she began using drugs sometimes with him, sometimes just to block everything out. She specifically said she developed a dependence on opioids to dull her emotional and physical pain. Especially during the adult-themed events she said she was forced to attend, known as freak-offs. And it gets even darker. Prosecutors showed the jury private screenshots, which haven't been released to the public, showing Cassie with male escorts during these so-called freak-offs. According to her, Diddy didn't just coerce her into participating, he recorded these encounters. She claimed he later used the footage as blackmail, threatening to ruin her public image if she ever tried to leave or start seeing someone else. One of the most disturbing claims was tied to rapper Kid Cudi. Cassie said she tried to move on and began dating him.